everybody, it's Christy from Christy's Beautiful Life. Welcome back to 30 Days of Sketches 4. We are on to day 18 with this fun sketch. I loved those banners, and I originally went right to using that Pink Fresh Studio line that everyone has been using that literally looks just like those banners. But instead, I decided to go back to my How to Kill a Kit with Style, my Willow Lane collection from Maggie Holmes. Really want to get this used up as much as possible, so I knew I had this paper that had all the fun different patterns, and I just simply, you're going to see, I'm just going to trim them all out. And then I go back, I noticed they're a little too wide for the banners that I want to create, so I'm just going to trim them. I think I trimmed them to 3, they're smaller than an inch, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember what I trimmed them to. About an inch, if not, maybe just a little bit smaller. Now, I love how they automatically had different not shapes, but different lengths to them. So I'm going to play off of that as well. And you will see, of course, there's a few that are too short, and just you know that underneath the photo, no one's going to see that. So I just trim and cut and move them accordingly. So super easy to do it that way. You don't have to worry about stuff like that. And what I love most about trimming these is that I now have all these little bits that are even smaller. I'm going to try and do this exact same idea in one of my traveler's notebooks. So we will see if I can get that done soon. I think it'll look really neat with those banners. I love these ones. They're all the same like patterns from the line, but they have different colors to them. So I totally love them. Now I'm doing something a little bit different. These are maybe not girly patterns, but you wouldn't necessarily think I would use them to tell a story about Jackson losing a tooth. That's not probably where your first idea would come from. At least it wasn't really for mine, but I just like the way that his photos kind of popped off of that. I had them on my desk because I was working on them for my layout yesterday. You might have saw that I tried to use them. They didn't work, so they were sitting on my desk. I'm like, let's see if I can try this. And I'm going to place them on this yellow. Now, I should have just gone with it. I like this yellow. I think it works really well. But you're going to see, I literally probably look through every single sheet of pattern paper I have because I don't know. I was being fussy and I wasn't sure. I know I want to have them backed with some white. Especially with my photos, I like them to have a tiny bit of a border when they're being layered. And then it's photos going on top of pattern paper going on top of pattern paper. So you need a nice grounding place for your photos to go. So your eye just kind of goes there first. And that's why I do things like that. And now I'm just going to play. Like I said, you're going to see me go through all of the different pattern papers, trying to figure out if what I want to do. That blue with those photos look really nice, but with the rest of the pattern papers, doesn't really mix well. I like the idea of the black. That's too dark, so I don't want to do that one. I keep going back to the yellow. I like the yellow, but I want there to be one more color added in it as well. So I just keep looking. And that's the nice thing about working in a kit is eventually you're going to find what you're looking for. It does eventually happen. And what I decide to do, I believe, is I grabbed a piece that I've used before because normally that's what happens is I start to use some of my favorite ones and they are my favorite, so I just kind of go back to them. And I end up doing a two pattern paper border is basically what happens. And so there's the yellow and this blue. Now it just works perfectly. It was already there. The back of it has hearts, I believe, on the back of it. I can't remember. There's something really pretty on the back of that blue pattern paper. So I was trying to save and use both sides of it, but I feel like I did a good job in using both of them, so it's okay. The same with this yellow. I've used both sides of that pattern paper, so I'm feeling good with how all of that happened. So yeah, I'm going to flip it so that there's a torn edge at the top and a torn edge at the bottom. I love torn edges. It's one of my favorite looks. It just kind of brings that I don't know, handmade element to my layout, I guess. I just really like the look. And now I'm going to go ahead and look at these, try to figure out what I want to do. You're going to watch me trim them. I also need to decide if I'm going to let them be a background piece and just kind of fade into the background. Even though it's white cardstock, they're still kind of fading into the background there, or if I want to make them more of a statement. So I take a black pen and trace around them so that they pop. And I do decide that the statement is the way it's going to be. I like, especially because I use a ton of white cardstock. I mean, I'd say 85% of the time I use white cardstock. And so because I do that, I need to make sure that they don't all look the same. And by doing things as simple as tracing, it really helps just make it unique. I did some black stitching as well right down the middle, and it all just flows together. I love the way it looks, and it definitely helps make it, it's still in the background. Your eyes still go to the photo, but it does help it pop just a little bit. My photos are raised up on some fun foam. I know you don't see that. A lot of times you don't see me do that. Most things I do have fun foam to them, but you all know what it looks like. You all know you can get it from Walmart. You know how to use it. I just choose not to share that part of it. And then my title is going to be long and fun, and I just wanted to play with some different alphas. So it ends up saying Tooth Fairy is coming tonight, and that word fairy, I had to fix the F. You can see there's it's not a true F. I had to kind of Frankenstein it to make it work, but I don't think I can make any more words with that alpha. So very pleased with that. I couldn't make a whole lot of words with it to begin with. That was one of the sheets where there's only a couple letters on each one, and they're quite large. So I can't remember if it came in a kit or if I bought them, but they're not necessarily the best bang for your buck because you can't do a lot, but I was able to spell that, so that made me happy. And then I finally broke into these Pink Fresh Studio alphas. Now there's a ton of each letter on these. That's awesome. However, the T is only a large T, and I don't like that. So I had to cut it and make it work for me because I didn't need two super large T's. That just looks funny to me. So I do Frankenstein that as well because I don't like the way it looks. And then I use some smaller alphas to use the word is and tonight. The gold from the word tooth is what I use for the word is. And tonight I go into my flat alphas that came in this kit, this Willow Lane kit. They are not good at sticking. They're horrible. You have to use your glue to get them to stay down. I don't like that. I also had an idea here that I could use this piece of green. It doesn't work either. I don't like the way it looks. So while you watch me kind of do my finishing touches here, let me talk about the story. So this is Jackson losing his first natural tooth. So if you remember a couple years ago, he was playing and lost a tooth, and it kind of, a stitch from our couch ripped out one of his teeth. It was traumatic and it was crazy. He is fine. His tooth is fine. Everything's fine. His grown-up tooth is already grown in place. But that was very traumatic, and that was not the way we expected for him to lose his first tooth. So last year, around this time, November-ish, he had a wiggly tooth, and he was a little nervous about it. He didn't like that it was wiggly, and he was afraid it was going to hurt when it pulled out. But he finally was brave enough to pull it out, and he was so excited because he knew the tooth fairy was going to come because he's already experienced that, and he just was excited to show that off, which was really fun. And then a funny story is that like 2 days later, not 2 days, but like 2 weeks later, another tooth right next to it was missing. So he was missing 3 teeth at the bottom all at the same time. It was really funny. So I'm sure I'll scrap that to you because that is a whole nother funny story. He wanted to keep his tooth too. He was really mad that the tooth fairy took his tooth last time. So he requested that we keep this one. So funny. So I love it. I do add those houses down at the bottom just to have a nice little grounding, and that clock because of the time. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you head out and check out Crystal and Christina's takes for today too, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.